Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 8. So Module 8 is the halfway point of this semester, which means that you are going to do some reflection on how you are doing so far in the class, as well as have the opportunity to complete a midpoint survey, which allows me to make changes for the second half of the class if needed. If there's some issue that you're having with how things are presented in the class, you can give me a little bit of feedback on that. So just looking at the module itself, we're working on the annotated bibliography, which is our project that comes before the research paper. You have in Module 7 learned a lot about finding and evaluating sources and what information literacy is, how to evaluate a source, that kind of thing, and you took a quiz over it. And then you also decided on your topic for your research essay and submitted that topic proposal. So that's something to look back at right away, if you haven't already, is to make sure that your topic proposal has been approved and that your topic will work for the essay. Now you're going to start working on finding sources. So an annotated bibliography is not an essay. It is a list of sources, and those sources, so it looks like kind of like a works cited page, and with each of those sources you'll have a paragraph that's called an annotation, and that annotation will cover descriptive and evaluative comments. So description or summary is just telling us what it's about, and then the evaluation part is our critique of that source. So what is it that is about the source that makes it a good, trustworthy source, or maybe something that we want to consider when using this source. So it could be anything from a publication date to who the audience is intended for, that kind of thing. So it may be this source was intended for children, or maybe it's more for a general audience. And so just comments like that are useful to include so that when a reader goes to find that source, they kind of know what to expect. And how helpful that source is going to end up being. So a lot of this is just a tool for you to use in just deciding which sources are going to be the best sources to use in your research paper. So you need to find 12 sources total. Of those 12 sources, you need to represent at least 4 different kinds of sources. So think of we want things like books, we want websites, we want TV shows or films or something like that. You could do personal interviews. Everything could be an electronic source. So if you don't have access to print books, that's fine. You can use ebooks, those count. So you could have an ebook, you could have a database journal source, you could have a podcast, you could have a documentary off of YouTube. So those are all different types of sources. We can get pretty creative with the types of sources. So just keep in mind that if you are not sure whether something could be used as a source, you can always send me an email. But we can get some variety in there. If you're wondering what an annotated bibliography needs to look like, don't forget there's this example in here. You start with a paragraph just giving us an overview of the topic. A lot of the overview, a paragraph will be these sort of announcement type sentences. I plan to present, I will discuss, that kind of thing. Remember, you haven't written the research paper yet, so it's all kind of in the future what you're planning on doing, and not what the paper is about, because you haven't written it yet, and that may change as you write. And then the next thing you're going to include is the sources themselves in alphabetical order. So I only got 2 here. As you type the sources in there, make sure that you put them in your annotated bibliography in the order that they need to go. Because if you try to do it at the end, once you have all your sources in there, it's going to get confusing. So either, find all 12 sources and do your works cited list first and then add the paragraphs, or, do the source with the paragraph, insert into the document where it's supposed to go alphabetically. Title wise, you can put it, most students will do the annotated bibliography over whatever topic it is, because their research paper is going to have, the good title. So your paragraph just needs to cover 2 things: what it's about and how credible it is. And so things like, you know, this is what the article covers. It's a very short article. This is what the article this is what the author claims. These are some things like the author doesn't have any scientific credentials because it's just a blog, so it needs to be verified. However, it is kind of a fun look on, you know, why kids love dinosaurs. So things like that, we want to make sure that we're including anything that might be questioned about it, anything that they include that either adds to or detracts from credibility. That crap test can help you out as well with some of the things that you might cover. So these are some really good examples that I've created for you to follow along with. In the textbook, there's also an example of an annotated bibliography and just some more information about why we use them. And there are a couple of different ways to do it. This one's kind of separated out between summative and evaluative comments, and then you can also make them much shorter, or you put them all in one paragraph. So it kind of depends on how you prefer to write it out as far as formatting is concerned. You want to make sure that you are not including a separate works cited page, because that would be very redundant. There's extra pages you do not need. And then you can use first person for this one, obviously not second person. You don't want to tell the reader what he or she thinks of a source. Instead, you want to be, you know, using I if you want to include first person at all. But the main thing that students don't do correctly is including both summary and evaluation for each source. So making sure that you are commenting on things like whether or not it's current, whether or not the author has authority, whether or not the author uses sources, addresses opposing viewpoints, you know, all of the things that we've discussed so far, things that make a good argument, all of that stuff from the class that we've looked at up to this point can be used. And then make sure that you are using the MLA citation. Some of you are still using APA style. If you're going to use a program to create those citations for you, make sure you're copying the APA or the MLA one, not the APA one. That's something that's real simple, but some students just can't seem to wrap their head around it. So I've got some other links in here for you, database sources, just some more information about using sources from a database, as well as information from the library that, you know, there's a PowerPoint that they've created. So that just will hopefully help you with, you know, navigating through your databases. I have a link to the library databases. I think it's really important to consider using the databases first. So if I want to go to, let me see if I can get to this website. So you can just search for everything if you want to. So if I just want to search for dinosaurs and I search everything, then the first thing that's going to pop up are books at the library, which if I'm in Iola, I could go get some physical books, but I'm not. So I may want to limit my search publication to certain types of publications, or I could just do, I can filter by, I can filter by full text, and that will just give me the text that is available and that I can access online. So that will help me out a little bit, and then making sure that I can actually access it. You can also look at different types of sources. So if you know that you don't have a video, for example, or an ebook, then you can apply that filter and just get specific types of sources. That way you're more likely to reach that 4 different types of sources requirement. I also have a link to the library website, which you can use as well. There's some other stuff on the library website, but really just keeping in mind that you have access to all that stuff at the library that is good for research. This is the spot to obviously turn in your annotated bibliography and want to make sure that you reach all of the criteria for the assignment. And then the last thing that you're doing in the module is reflecting on the semester. So this is a halfway point reflection. You can do this one as either, kind of written out in a paragraph essay form, or just answering the questions in a bulleted list. That's fine. And then you also have the opportunity, like I said, to evaluate the class for 5 points extra credit. You can just take the survey and leave me some feedback. Your written feedback is really what helps me out here. At the beginning of the class, you did kind of a reflection on what you strengths and weaknesses and kind of what you anticipated for the class, gave yourself a goal. That will be in the email that you sent to me. So if you did not complete that assignment, then you don't have that, which means at this point, you will want to be thinking about, like, are you meeting any goals that you might have had for the semester when you started the class? So that's what we're looking for in this module. So module 8, working on that annotated bibliography and getting that done and submitted. We do not have a rough draft or anything for that assignment. It's just completing it, making sure that you give it a good proofread and then submitting it. So if you have any questions, send me an email.